Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's a sunny Sunday in March. Today we're not going very far at all. In fact, I'm going to take you on a little walk right here from my house. In fact, we're in our garden right now. But we're going to do a walk from here, which I think you might find interesting. It's going to take in some beautiful Devon countryside, a very quintessentially pretty Devon village, and part of Brunel's famous sea wall, and some beautiful beach scenes as well. So come on, let's do a pretty sunny Sunday walk in March right here on the Devon coast. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Right, we are off and running, or walking at least. Today we're going to leave the car behind and we're going to do a walk from our house. How nice is that?
Brilliant.
So you ready to go? Yeah, let's do it, shall we? So we're starting off with just a little bit of walking on the main road. You can probably hear the traffic. This is the main road between Teignmouth and Dawlish. We're just going to walk down onto. We could actually walk from our house to the beach in Teignmouth, probably in about 20 minutes down through the park, which we'll do on a different video sometime. This isn't the quickest route down to the beach. This is a pretty circular walk. So we're going to walk to our nearest village from Teignmouth, up a pretty country lane, and then we're going to take you down a Smugglers Lane, and then we're going to walk along the famous Brunel sea wall, and it should be a lovely day for it on this sunny Sunday. Only a few yards along the main road and we can turn off. This is Oak Hill Crossroad in Teignmouth, which is a very nice little road. I deliver a post quite a lot up here, some really nice houses, and it eventually will turn into a little bit of a country lane and an old track. But this is actually one of the original old roads out of Teignmouth. In fact, I believe that this was the original route that they would have taken from Teignmouth across to Dawlish before they built the coast road back in the day. Nowadays it's just a residential lane, but very, very pretty. And after a few yards, the last house, and then all of a sudden we're into rural Devon. It's amazing. Just a few yards off the main road, less than 5 minutes from our house, and we're into the countryside. That's all right, isn't it? This is one of the old green lanes, which would have had more of a use in times gone by. Nowadays it's just used by the local farmer. But if you follow that up for about, no more than 150 yards, you're back at the top of our estate. Our house is literally just over there to the left hand side. Quite amazing really, because when you're at our house you feel like you're in an estate in a village or a town, but actually you're literally yards from here. And then if we just look over here into the open farmland, and there you go, Devon countryside. Over to the left you can just see a white house. That is a higher Holcombe house. I deliver post there quite often, very nice place. And over on the right hand side, just over the hedge, we'll get a better view in a second, you can just see in the distance Exmouth and the mouth of the River Exe. Just following a little robin here in the hedge. Hello mate. Oh, he's gone into the hedge now. I think he's collecting bits and pieces for the nest. So we'll carry on down the lane here, and we come to a bit of a border down here. You know me, well, if you don't, then let me explain. I'm a bit of a geek for borders of all kinds. I love borders. This isn't an international border, it's not even a county border, but I'll tell you what it is in just a second. Just looking over another field gate here. A few lambs here, though they'll be probably a few weeks old now. They're getting big, aren't they? They're not the tiny ones. And in the distance to the left is the edge of the village of Holcombe, and that is the pretty village that we're headed for. And beyond there, the mouth of the River Exe, and you can just see in the distance Exmouth, and then off to the right hand side the cliffs as you go over towards Budleigh Salterton and Sidmouth and beyond. Very clear today.
You can actually see right the way around to Portland Bill today. You won't pick it up on this, I don't think, but it looks like a little wedge in the sea. Yeah,
I don't think the GoPro will pick that up, but you can.
But
I can see it with, yeah, I can see it with the naked eye. You can see all the way across to Portland, the Isle of Portland in Dorset, which I think is 50 miles as the crow flies, so quite amazing. So this is still Oak Hill Crossroad, the old road from Teignmouth to Dawlish. Wouldn't take much traffic nowadays, would it, eh? So we're heading down into the dip there, and then you can see the trail of the lane going up to the top. And just when we reach the top, we're going to then turn off and cut down into the village of Holcombe. And so we've reached the little border that I told you about. Now, I do love borders. This isn't an international border. It's not even a county border. But what this is a postcode border. Oh yes, I know it's trivial. I know it's scraping the barrel, but there you go. Anyway, Here at the moment we're in TQ14, part of the Torquay postcode. This stream marks the border between the Torquay and the Exeter postcode area. So Nina, if you just stay where you are, I'm just going to walk across here. And it's pretty wet. So let's just get across without getting too wet. There we are. So I've crossed the stream. Hello there.
Hello.
So I am now in EX7, and where are you?
I'm in TQ14.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
I know.
About to get wet.
I know. Scraping the barrel, eh? Once an anorak, always an anorak. That's looking a bit muddy. I don't think I'll be going over there. Thank goodness we don't have to. We're heading this way. Phew. That would have been one that would rip your shoes off in the mud, wouldn't it, eh?
Yeah, it'd be like...
And so we've reached the top of the hill and we've come to a crossroads. Now, if we were to take to that path to the left, that takes us up to somewhere called the Buntings, which is right above Teignmouth on the little road as you go up towards the direction of the golf club, if you like, if you know this area. Very nice, lovely views up there. If we were to carry on down here, that would bring us out on the back road between Teignmouth and Dawlish. We're going to go this way. Now, if you look down here, some beautiful Devon countryside. You can see the village of Holcombe just on the left-hand side there, and the sea beyond. So we're going to walk down through the village and then across the main road, and then we're going to go down Smugglers Lane. So we're going to head off down here. Now, this is a very considerate farmer here. He knows it's a public footpath, but he's not made any attempts to block it. Instead, what he's done is to fence it off so that it's safe for walkers and safe for the animals as well. That's the way it should be. Some lovely old horses over there as well. So let's head off down here into the village of Holcombe. Beautiful day for it, isn't it, eh?
Absolutely stunning, isn't it?
And as you look over to the left-hand side there, you can just see a foam mast on top of the hill in the distance. That is just at the top of our estate, so we're still that close. And yet here we are in the lovely Devon hills. Right, let's carry on, and this should bring us out just to the top of the village of Holcombe. Then we'll take a walk down through the village and show you the lovely old church. Pretty country path. I do like walking here. I haven't done it for a while actually. We used to do this a lot during COVID. We used to do this walk 2 or 3 times a week, because you're allowed out for a certain amount of time, weren't you? And so we could do this and walk down to the sea and still be within what we are allowed to do. And here we are, just coming into the very top end of Holcombe now. So we've left the public footpath now. That's the rural part of our walkie done. So now we're going to walk down through Holcombe and make our way towards Smugglers Lane.
Past the pub as well. We'll show you
Past
the
the
pub.
Past the pub. It's a bit early at the moment though. Here's the local pub. This is the Castle Inn. People sitting out in the beer garden today and out the front in the sunshine. It's lovely, isn't it, eh? And then just behind it here is Holcombe Village Hall. They have a lot of events on there. Very vibrant community. It's only a small village, but a very, very vibrant community here. Lovely facility there as well. But we're going to head off down into the village centre. It's only a little village, but it's very pretty and it's very Devon. Quintessential thatched Devon cottages. This is a very pretty house, isn't it, here? Isn't that lovely? And then just across the road, another one. And then here we are, coming up towards the little village church, which again is really pretty. Now it's Sunday today, so they may well be having a service inside, so we'll have a look and see if it's possible to go in, but if not, we won't disturb them. I always think it looks almost continental. I think it's the little steeple on it. Very pretty. This is the Church of St George in Holcombe. They've got a very pretty little garden around the side, if I remember. Here we are. It looks like we will be able to go in a second. Nice place for people to come and just sit here and relax. Maybe think of people they might have lost, or just chill out and enjoy the sunshine. It's very nice, isn't it? Very pretty. Even a little section of the churchyard here dedicated to our faithful companions who've gone. In other words, our dogs and our cats, and of course any other animals that you may have loved in the past as well. And a couple more lovely thatched cottages just behind too. It's amazing how you bump. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Fancy meeting you here again.
I'm in the boat.
You are, aren't you? What a lovely place to sit and relax and enjoy the sunshine.
Fantastic views as well.
And the service is finished for today, so here we are in the lovely church of St George in Holcombe. Very quintessentially pretty country church. No candles to light today. We normally like to do that when we're in a church. But look how the light is shining through. Very peaceful. Well, lovely church. Always nice to go in there. Haven't been in for a while. Just looking back at where we've just walked down. So pretty here in Holcombe. Just walking down to the bottom of the village, and then we're going to turn left towards the main road and then Smugglers Lane. And apparently St George's Church that we've just been in is about to celebrate its 80th birthday, which actually for a church like that is quite young. And we've reached the bottom of Holcombe. This is a very pretty part of the village. And if we were to follow that lane up in front of us, past those lovely thatched cottages, that will bring you out almost where we started, back on the main road, not too far away from our house in Teignmouth, just about 3/4 of a mile up there, that's all. And look at the pretty cottages here. This is Hall Lane. This is going to take us down to the main road, and then we're off in search of smugglers. So we've crossed over the main road between Teignmouth and Dawlish, which is busy, it's always busy, and we're dropping down now, and this is Smugglers Lane. Takes us all the way down to Brunel's seawall, but before we get there we're going to have a look at a beautiful little community orchard that they've created. Some power in that water. So just here, just off Smugglers Lane, is a community orchard. I don't know if it was created for the millennium, but it's very, very nicely done. Little rustic place to sit and have a picnic there, look. And here is the community orchard. Of course, Devon used to be full of orchards, and I believe that 80% of them no longer exist. And here's one that they've recreated. There's another one in the park not far from our house, which I'll show you on a different video. They've recreated this orchard here, made it a very nice place. Here's a place you can sit and have your picnic. A little bit of local artwork as well. So this is Holcombe Community Orchard, and not quite in fruit yet, but at some point you should be able to get some lovely apples, or I'm not even sure if they are apple trees, to be honest with you, but anyway, it will look very nice as we progress through the spring. And when we first moved into this area, we decided to explore down Smugglers Lane, and we brought our car down here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, never again.
No, we've
I think
only done it the once.
we thought that it would be just a way where you could just park and look at the beach, but no, it's a very tight turning at the bottom. It's an O3 road. It's really not designed for cars to come down, so yeah, from now on we walk it every time.
Oh yes.
And just at the bottom of the hill, this is the Salty Dog, nice little cafe. It just opens during the spring, summer, part of the autumn as well. And if you're doing the Brunel sea wall, it's a lovely place to come and have a coffee and maybe a bit of cake as well. People from Teignmouth run that, very nice indeed. But we're not going there today, we're going down here. And what you can see in front of us is the railway, the main GWR railway line between Exeter and Plymouth, and between Dawlish and Teignmouth. And we're going to walk under the bridge onto Holcombe Beach here, and then we're going to do Brunel's seawall. And under the arches we go. The steps on the right will take us up onto the seawall, but first of all, let's go down, have a look at Holcombe Beach. Tide is on its way out, so it should be no problem to walk along a little bit. So here we are. This is Holcombe Beach, the very end of the same beach that reaches through to Teignmouth. Here on the left hand side are the rocks that we call the Parson and the Clark. From a distance, apparently it looks like an old parson, an old vicar, looking down at the Clark, which is a little sticky up rock on the right hand side, which looks nothing from this angle, but from a distance you can almost imagine that's how it looks. And do you remember that stream earlier on that we stepped over, which marked the postcode boundary Well, here is where it comes out. And above us, the railway line again, and that is Parsons Tunnel, part of the main line between Exeter and Plymouth. And here we are, tide's out. I think it's quite a low tide today. And here is the famous seawall. We'll get up there in a second, but first of all, just a little bit of a walk along the beach towards what they call Spray Point. And in the distance, just beyond there, you can see the Ness, which is at the mouth of the River Teign in Teignmouth, and beyond there the cliffs as you go round towards Babbacombe and eventually Torquay. And the tide's way out, and I love when the tide goes out on a beach, how it creates all these little mini rivers. When I was a kid, like everybody, I'd try and block them up and create little dams. Of course it never worked, did it? But we still kept having a go. You can see the Parson and the Clark on the left hand side. Some nice houses just on the edge of Holcombe, just above there as well. That's Holcombe Hall, been divided into different properties now. And here we are on the edge of the mighty sea. Just 75 miles just over there to Cherbourg. In fact, one strange fun fact, here on the South Devon coast in Teignmouth, we're actually closer to Cherbourg than we are to Bristol. There you believe, would you believe it? Now this beautiful beach here has been the subject of a lot of controversy and a lot of arguments in recent times. And what Network Rail, who own the track here on the railway line, wanted to do, because these cliffs above us are prone to landslips and occasional rocks and bits of mud coming down, they wanted to move the whole railway out over the bridge. So they proposed, right on this beach, to build the railway over it. So they were going to drive great big steel girders in there and put a great big elevated railway across the beach that would run all the way across to there and towards Teignmouth as well. Well, as you can imagine, the local population were not happy at all about that, and they organised a series of different protests and petitions and that sort of thing, and it culminated in a day of protest here on the beach where hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, in fact I think it was well over 1,000 people, formed a line along this beach to show their support for the beach and the fact that they didn't want these Network Rail proposals to go ahead. As a result of that, Network Rail did listen, thank goodness, and they've now come up with new proposals just to further shore up the cliffs above the railway. And to be honest, in recent times, most of the problems, as you will perhaps remember in the news back in 2014, were in the Dawlish area where the railway line collapsed because of the rough seas. We've not really had too much issue on the Teignmouth stretch in recent times, so thank goodness, at least for the foreseeable future, this beach is saved. Advert for the Salty Dog, where we passed a while back, and that's where we've just been walking. We've just come up the ramp, and we're now here at a place that is known locally as Spray Point.
Yeah, Spray Point actually it's the rectangular area here just in front of us and to the right, and it's a break in the sea wall, and it was created by Brunel in the mid-1840s to facilitate material transport for the South Devon Railway construction. It was also the home to various buildings, including at one point in the 1930s a cafe which appears to may have been called Halfway Cafe.
Right.
Not there now.
And down underneath us here you can see the remains of an attempt to build a harbour. That was probably during the construction of the railway, I guess, or maybe since. But as you can see, the sea has done its business and it's no longer usable as a harbour. It would always have been very shallow anyway because it's way up the top of the beach. But I guess way back in the day, I'm not sure if there's any pictures online anywhere, but back in the day boats would have pulled in and moored up here. Well, I think this bit of grass here is where the tea room used to have their tables, and people used to sit out in the summer, have a nice picnic overlooking the sea. And if you're ever passing by here on the train and looked left towards the sea, as you approach Teignmouth, you will have seen this, the famous Teignmouth sign. And it's painted by volunteers. They do it every year. I think it's due to be repainted again in April, so coming very, very soon, so it'll look all nice and spick and span once again. So you'll have seen this, no doubt, if you're passing by on the train, Teignmouth with the little Devon flag in the middle of it as well. So this is part of Brunel's famous sea wall. Now it's a Sunday as I'm filming this, and there's engineering works on the main line, so there's not many trains going up and down today. It's the famous bus replacement service, but I believe there is a train due to be running between Newton Abbot and Exeter St David's due in about 2 minutes. And you can just see on the left hand side of the railway a W sign, which means whistle, so he should give us a nice toot as he goes past. Well, welcome to trying to get around the UK on a Sunday on the railways. I just checked real-time trains because there was no sign of the train, and it's changed to a bus replacement service. It was supposed to be a train running, but all of a sudden it's changed to bus replacement. So it looks like no trains running on this section of the line today. That's how it is in this country. Not like Switzerland. So in the absence of trains, come back down onto the beach. That's Spray Point from the beach side. Really low tide today, and that exposes these rocks, which you can't see at every low tide. Sometimes the sea is still above them, but it's a very low tide at the moment. As you can see, the sand is lovely here. Little rock pools. Any crabs? I only ever seem to see dead crabs. I never see them alive around here, but they must be, I suppose. But they just don't make themselves known to me. There we are. Looks almost nice enough to have a paddle, but I bet it's freezing cold. But do you know, here there are still people who go swimming every day of the year, this wild swimming, and they say it makes them feel fantastic, and it's supposedly very good for your health. I've not tried swimming in the winter in this sea, and in fact only about 3 or 4 times even in the summer here. I think I prefer the Caribbean for that, but I'm a bit of a wimp. Anyway, let's have a walk along the beach as we go back in towards Teignmouth. And here in Teignmouth we've got our own shipwreck, the Church Rocks Wreck. It's just 170 metres offshore from here. An important shipwreck of an armed trading vessel dating from the late 16th century. And it's somewhere out there, and apparently a very low tide. You can see bits of it, but I have never ever seen it. One interesting thing about this little signpost here is on the top right hand side you can see those whale bones. They used to stand right here in this position until a few years ago, and then they were taken down, and nobody seems to know where they are now. And they were put there by Pike Ward, who was a very important fishing person or fisherman who came from Teignmouth and was one of the pioneers of the fishing business around Iceland and across on the Newfoundland banks and that sort of neck of the woods as well. So yeah, that was a sign of Teignmouth for many years, but sadly no longer around, and nobody seems to know where they are. So we made it back into Teignmouth. Now normally we'd carry on and walk down the seafront, but we're not going to do that today because this is a circular walk. But if you like to see our videos of Teignmouth, there are 2 or 3 on this channel, so just have a search down through the videos and you'll see them, including one filmed on a beautifully sunny Christmas day. But for today we're going to head off up the hill through a lovely park and back towards home, and I'll show you Teignmouth's equivalent, or the nearest thing we have here, to our botanical gardens. And you can see along there where we just walked from, through Spray Point and back along the beach. And before you know it, here we are. This is called Mules Park, and it's a little bit of a hidden secret here in Teignmouth. Not everybody seems to know it's here. It's a beautiful park that goes all the way back up the hill. It's in 2 sections. The right hand path will take us into a big open area of grassland. The left path, which is the one we're going to take today, takes us to a little bit of a hidden secret that not everybody knows about. Teignmouth's equivalent to a botanical garden. So you wouldn't believe it, here where we are, right alongside Teignmouth town centre. It's just literally off to our left, and yet you feel like you're way back out in the middle of the countryside here. And you know, we didn't even know this park existed when we first moved here. We just found it by accident, and I'll show you the way it goes. And you get to see a house where somebody very important in the world of computing used to live. Just through the trees there you can just see the grounds of the Clifton Hotel. This is one of the few major hotels still left in Teignmouth, and our very good friends Pete Jones and his lovely wife Kim stay there. Pete Jones, as many people will know who listen to my radio show, is a very, very big star in the world of progressive rock, and that's where they come for their holidays every year. We'll be seeing them again very soon. So we've just turned off the main path of the park and it brings you down into what they call the Dell. Now this is like a little bit of tropical botanical gardens, if you like. It's got a very tropical feel down here. There's a series of pools fed by a stream that comes down the hill, and it's all maintained by volunteers. They do a fantastic job, and there's a wonderful old walled garden as part of this, which I'll show you in a second. Here's one of the pools in the stream. Isn't that pretty? Occasionally you get the odd duck who gets lost and finds himself in this pool here. Even got a little island there for him to sit on, you see. And as we move to the left, the next pool and a little waterfall as well. There we are, very peaceful here. If any of you have watched our Cockington video that we did recently, where we met Patrick the Pony, the mayor, you'll have seen in the grounds of Cockington Park that there's a very similar thing to this, with different pools fed by a stream and little waterfalls as well. Check that out on this channel if you've not seen it already. And here's the next pool on the flight of pools. Of course it's still only mid-March, so this will become very, very pretty as the summer comes on. Get lots of beautiful flowers that are planted by the volunteers here. And we climb up a little bit further. Another pool on the left, look. And you can see here a nice little area where the volunteers have been working. Isn't that lovely?
Look at this. How cleverly done with twigs.
Very cleverly done.
That's brilliant. The magnolia coming out.
And as we move round a very pretty little bridge on the left. We were amazed the first time we found this. We'd only been living in Teignmouth about maybe a fortnight, and we said, oh, let's have a walk downtown, well, let's go a different way. And we came across this and we were absolutely thrilled to pieces. So here's our little bridge and continuing up the path, and we're about to reach a house, as I mentioned, that is quite important in the history of computers. But what could it be? And as we climb up further, you come across these big walls. So what is this? This is actually what remains of the walled garden of the grand villa that used to be on this land and is still on this land at the top, actually, which I'll show you in a second. And this is the old walled garden. Imagine how grand this would have been in the day. Now this was very, very overgrown, and once again the wonderful volunteers here have done a fabulous job in clearing it and repairing the walls. And maybe, who knows, one day this may well get back to its grand past. And I think if we just have a look up there, we can see a bit they've actually worked on a bit further. Yeah, so you can see here a little bit that they have been working on. They've been growing stuff here. Very sheltered, of course, with the walls of the old garden next to it. What a great job they're doing here, good on them. Yeah, so you can see how big this walled garden would have been. And I'll show you the grand house to which this garden belongs in a second. This is another one of the side entrances. This is where they've done quite a bit of work. And here we are. Now we're about to go into the gardens of one of Teignmouth's most prestigious properties. So just climbing a little bit further up into the garden, and you can see this beautiful house in front of us. Now this house is called the Rowdens, and back in 1808 a family lived here called Babbage, and their son was Charles Babbage, and Charles is credited with inventing one of the very, very early forms of mechanical computers. So every time you use a PC or a laptop now, you can thank Mr. Babbage for his early work on developing the very, very earliest part of the computing history, and this is where he lived. Isn't it beautiful? It's now divided into 8 or 9 different properties. The Rowdens house. Look at this beautiful tree. Very old. We think it's a cedar. Feel free to correct us in the comments below if that's not the case. And a last look at the wonderful Rowdens house. It's lovely, isn't it?
You can smell the cedar, you can smell the wood. It's gorgeous.
Bit
too big to hug though.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, we'd need a few of us to hug that, wouldn't it? And this is the Teignmouth dog dip. Popular for people to get the doggies if they've got muddy paws. Go and have a paddle in there, and that cleans them up nicely. The Teignmouth dog dip. It's a famous part of Teignmouth, this is. As I was mentioning earlier on in this video, Devon has now lost over 80% of its apple orchards. And here's one that they've restored. This is like a community apple orchard, similar to the one that we saw earlier on in Holcombe, but this is Teignmouth's version, and they've replanted the apple trees here. And they do produce apples at the right time of year, obviously not at the moment. And behind them you can see some apartments. That's First Drive in Teignmouth. They used to be grand villas back in the day, and for some strange reason they were demolished and replaced by more modern apartments. Bit of a shame actually, because it would have been a very, very prestigious part of the area to live back in the day. And here you can see the more open parts of Mules Park, or Eastcliff Park as it's also known. A lovely area of green space for the people of the area to walk the dogs in and just generally come and enjoy the peace and quiet. It's really nice. And we're literally now probably 10 minutes from our house. Eastcliff Mules Park, Teignmouth. Somebody's put the "I wandered lonely as a cloud" poem underneath it. Very nice. So that is Mules Park, or Eastcliff Park. Hope you enjoyed that. It's a lovely facility to have right on our doorstep. We're now going to carry on up the path here, show you some of the nice apartments that are up this way, and then we'll almost be home. And I was mentioning a second ago about the fact they knocked down a lot of the old villas to build new apartments. But this is one of them. This is called Eastcliff House, another place I deliver post to on a fairly regular basis. Very, very nice apartments. Look at the lovely balconies and look at the view they have as well. And here is a very tired Nina making her way back up the hill. I think she's ready for a cup of tea. Looking down there towards the Ness headland and out into Babacoon Bay. Very nice. And we've reached another junction. Now that is the southwest coast path disappearing off up to the cliff top, and that'll take you further up the coast. But we're diversifying off up here, and this is the way home. And here we are. It's been a long climb back up from the seafront through the park, but we're nearly at the top. And once we're at the top, it's well, almost level back to our house. Just the little hill at the end. And here we are, we've reached the top. So that's the end of the path that started right down by the seafront and comes through the park. And here we are on Cliff Road. There's some lovely houses here. And all we've got to do now is just walk to the end of this road, take a left on the main road, cross the road, and then we're almost back. And here we are, we've crossed the busy Dawlish Road, almost back now. We've come full circle. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that, a little circular walk up through a little bit of countryside. We saw Holcombe village, pretty thatched cottages. We saw Brunel seawall and the beach and the beautiful park as we came back up through Eastcliff Mules Park out of Teignmouth seafront as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give us a thumbs up if you like. If you haven't subscribed yet, that would be amazing if you could do that. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.
Bye.
Ta-ra, duck.